Welcome back to the second episode of the Learning Curve podcast entitled Blerd Lines. And today we have a very exciting episode lined up with our special guest, Damacia, also known as Skylerzane in the social media realm. She's a horror, cosplay, and crossplay genius, as she says. Welcome to the show, Damacia. It's our first time having a genius on our show.
It's good to be here.
Well, thank you for gracing us with your presence. So, we're happy to have you here. Let's jump right into it. First, please explain to us the difference between cosplay and crossplay, because I see you using both those terms.
So, cosplay is just kind of, dressing up as your favorite kind of fandom character. It could be movie, anime, anything.
Okay.
And crossplay is when someone who is traditionally female or feminine presenting ends up doing a cosplay that is male and doesn't gender bend it, doesn't change it, just goes straight and does a male character 100% of the way.
Okay.
Same for male doing a traditionally female character, and they don't change anything, they don't bend it or anything. It's just 100% them doing a female coded character, like Wonder Woman, a man doing Wonder Woman.
Okay. So what is a blerd?
Well, blerd, that's simple. That's a black nerd.
A black nerd. Okay. Never heard that term until I started doing research for this podcast. And I saw that there's just a whole community out there of people who identify as blerds. Is there something different about just being a regular old nerd versus a blerd?
Not really. However, in nerd communities, cosplay communities, for a long time, black cosplayers, black nerds were kind of excluded. They wouldn't really kind of allow them to, do their characters that they wanted to do, or they, coded as, oh, you're doing the black Sailor Moon, you're doing the black Wonder Woman, you're doing this or that. And, instead of just saying that I'm cosplaying as this character. So a lot of, black nerds just kind of got together and just like, we're just going to make our own community where we're celebrated, where we're not kind of put down or, have any kind of racism, coded racism or microaggressions directed towards us when we're just trying to participate in the same fandoms that we love.
Okay. Thanks for kind of explaining that to us and putting some context around that for us. How did you get started in cosplay?
Well, I went to my first Comic-Con in 2011. One of my friends wanted to go. It was Richmond Comic-Con. Okay. And I just saw a bunch of people who were in all these different cool cosplays. And I'd only dressed up for one of my friends does a big Halloween bash every year. And I've, done big British kind of costumes for that. But first time going to a Comic-Con and seeing all the different characters and people just kind of from different fandoms dressing up as the different characters from different fandoms. I was like, this is something that I could probably do. Maybe next time I'll come here and I'll dress up as one of these.
Okay.
And, I did.
What an interesting start to such a really cool, complicated, and creative hobby. What was your first cosplay experience like, and what character did you do?
It was a pretty good experience because the next Richmond Comic-Con, I dressed up as Voldo. And Voldo is a video game character from a series called Soul Calibur. And he's kind of he's a very interesting character. If you ever look him up, do a quick Google search. But he's in usually a fully covered costume, so you don't really see his face. He has different little wrappings around or metal, and then his weapons that he fights with. And he does different kind of moves that are very contortionist based. So he's just a really cool looking character and a very cool character to play with if you're into the game. So I said, this is going to be something simple. I'm just going to get myself a quick Zentai suit, which is like a spandex suit, which has a top, which has a face, but it's completely covered. So it's like people in green suits, when they're doing, motion
green
capture.
screen.
Yeah, exactly. And then I wrapped around different fabrics and stuff, like the version of Voldo I was going to be, and then got a pair of weapons from Spirit Halloween
Okay.
that matched one of the ones, and went to the con, and everybody knew who I was.
Okay.
They're like, "Oh my goodness!" And they like, "Stop it! Can I get a picture with you, Voldo? Can I stop and get a picture with you?" Kind of thing. And it was just a really cool experience. Like, everybody knew what I was trying to do. I knew it probably wasn't the best. It was something that I kind of threw together with about $20, but it worked, and
Yeah.
everybody knew who I was, and it was cool.
So that sounds like that's also part of not only participating, but being putting together an outfit that people can recognize, and they're not sitting here going, and you are, they can actually
Exactly.
know exactly who you are.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Like, sometimes people will do a very elaborate costume, and you're like, "Oh wow, that's so cool," but it's from some obscure video game or anime, and you're like, "I want to go look that up. You'll go up to them like, "Okay, what is this? Because I need to look it up later," kind of thing. But some of them, when they don't do it exactly right, you're like, "Are you a mashup? Or are you, oh, okay." And you just kind of like, "Oh, that's the goal, is to try and hit it so that you are either what characters is, because I really want to, learn more about this, or, oh, you're this character. That's so cool."
Okay. Okay. So you kind of started going into it when you were talking about your Voldo character, but the whole process of creating a cosplay outfit from start to finish, can you kind of take us through the convention is coming? You decided, okay, I'd like to go to the convention. I'm going to participate. What's your process then?
So depending on what it is, if it's horror based or if it's regular based, that's what I decided. If it's more horror, I'm doing more of my horror cosplays. If it's more just regular, I'll do a mix. So I have a box. I do. I have a cosplay box of different things that I get throughout the year, of just different pieces and parts for different cosplays that I have in mind of what I want to do, and I just kind of collect different things throughout the year. And you're like, I need to get this. I need to get this paint. I need to get this accessory because I want to do this later. I need a work shirt because I need to be an FBI agent or something like that. So I figure out pretty much which characters I want to be, and then I go through my box and see what stuff I already have.
Right.
And then from that point, if it's something else that I want to do, I'll need to either find the pieces and parts, talk to one of my friends who's a seamstress and be like, "Hey, so I need this outfit for this." And since I'm not great at sewing, I have her do the stuff that's more complicated with sewing. I'm more of the makeup, accessories kind of person. So, then I'm like, can I do this with makeup? Do I need a mask? What things do I need to get the mask to stay? And then do like a makeup run through, see if I can do the makeup, how long it takes me to do the makeup. Because sometimes there's stuff at the con that I want to do that starts early. That means I have to wake up early if I'm going to cosplay that day and put on all that stuff.
Right.
So if it's a quick cosplay or it's just a mask that I put on, great. I just need to make sure it sticks right. Or if I'm actually doing, 3 to 4 hours of face makeup, like with Pinhead, I need to know I need to get up at 8 o'clock because I want to be at the con at 12, kind of thing, and to start doing this.
Okay. So that's really impressive, Damacia, that you take all of that time and that planning to create these projects. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face when you are creating the cosplays?
Well, because I can't really sew, it's a matter of timing. So, like, if it's something like my Pinhead one, I knew I wanted to do that. I have to plan ahead. So it's like, I have a con in August that I wanted to go to. I need to get with my seamstress to get measurements. I need to do, get the material, get everything that she's going to need to make this actual costume, try it on, do fittings. And then for me, making sure that I can do the makeup, looking at YouTube tutorials, or, making sure I have the right latex, that it doesn't peel, it doesn't break me out. Trying it on different things, different wears, getting warm and seeing how, still sticks, if, I can doing all the test runs. So those are like the main challenges, as
Mm-hmm.
well as, making sure that if I have to buy it, that number one, I have the money to buy it,
Right.
and number two, that it's going to get here in time. So
Yeah.
with my Queen Ramonda, since I can't really sew, I got that dress and making sure it got here in time for the con. It
Mm-hmm.
was close. It was about a week, but it was close.
Yeah.
Making sure that I had everything done before then, and it fit and worked, so that when I had the dress, I could put it on and go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like not only is it kind of a creativity commitment, time commitment, it's also a financial commitment.
Yeah, it can be. It can
Mm-hmm.
be. You can make a cosplay for $20 if you go and get the right stuff from Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Spirit Halloween, before it closes for the season, everything's 75% off. You can
Mm-hmm.
stock up on all the stuff that you need. Paints and wigs and masks and all the different pieces and parts to a costume.
Mm-hmm.
Or but if you're doing something a little bit more elaborate, where that you're not going to have the time or the resources to make it, and you're like, I have to buy this. It's gonna buy it. Does it look
Right.
like you got it from Alibaba, or does it look
Right.
like a genuine,
Right.
like you really spent either some time or money on this kind of thing? And there are a couple of different places that I use that aren't really expensive, that I'm able to get some of those things from, like my Killmonger outfit.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as expensive at the place that I bought it at as what I would get it from else. It's just more of a matter of shopping around
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what's the best deal that looks the best and can get there in time.
Okay. So, what would you tell somebody who maybe has an interest in cosplay and might want to get their feet wet in terms of beginning to participate in some of the events?
So really easy, and don't go all out the first time. Do something simple. Do a simple cosplay. Don't have your first cosplay be Master Chief from Halo. Where you have to build it and, either use a 3D printer or, try and figure out how to use EVA foam to make an armor, because it's just going to frustrate you. You'll end up, getting frustrated that it's not working the way that you want it to. This wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, kind of thing. Pick something that is probably something you can get from Goodwill, like a shirt or, a suit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the really easy ones that I do is the Pig Man from Saw.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pig mask, a random wig that I had at the house, but it's really just like I can get a wig from this place called Wig Heaven, and it was a cape. Literally put that on. It was simple. Everybody knows what you are,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. But if you pick something really simple and kind of get your feet wet and you see what kind of things that you like. Do you like to wear masks? Do you
Mm-hmm.
like to work with makeup? Do you just, want to have the outfit and not have to do too much with your face, kind of things? Those are the kind of things that you learn as you kind of build up your repertoire with cosplay. And it's
Right.
always easier to start out slow and start out
Mm-hmm.
inexpensive, try it out first, and then, okay, now what can I build to make it look more polished, more finished, and then
Sure.
go from there.
Yeah, it sounds like your takeaway point is start easy, and then as you continue to participate and learn more things just about costuming in general, then you can kind of build up the complexity of your designs.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't,
Okay.
it's like going with a more complex design right off bat can rob you of the joy of cosplay.
Yeah.
So you still want it to be fun. You don't want it to be a
Right.
chore.
Right.
And, doing something really complicated right off the bat could end up being a chore. Like, I got to go home and work on this cosplay tonight instead of
Yeah.
do
Right.
something else.
Right. Right. Well, what do your family and friends think about the fact that you participate in cosplay?
My friends, they all love it. They always are kind of looking forward to what I'm going to do at a con or what I'm going to do at a party. And they'll participate and, like, hey, let's just do a group one. Let's do this, So it's, my friends all like it. You like it, of course. You always
Mm-hmm.
are, trying to see what I'm going to do.
I'm very
And,
impressed. Very impressed.
my dad seems to like it. My mom tends to like the more female versions of the things that I
Mm-hmm.
do.
She definitely likes to play it safe. Definitely.
Mhm.
So how do you prepare for these conventions in terms of kind of getting your mind right, making sure your costumes are right? And are there favorite conventions that you try to attend?
So, when I am doing prepping for one, I figure out how many days I'm going to go. Um, some of them are 3 days, some of them are 2 days. Cosplay World's coming up this weekend. It's 2 days.
Okay.
Um, so I figure out how many days it's going to be and who's going to be there. Um, is it a celebrity guest that I want a picture with? Is it one I want to autograph with? Are there any celebrity guests that I want to meet?
Hmm.
And do I want to meet them while I'm in costume, or do I want to meet them while I'm regular and take a picture with them?
Hmm.
Kind of thing. And then figuring out which days those are going to be and if I'm going to be in costume or not.
Hmm.
And then once I've figured out how many days, I'm actually going to be in costume, then I pick out whichever costume I want to do. If there's a new one that I'm trying out, or if there's a certain theme to the convention I'm going to, then I will kind of stick with the theme, or I'll stick with a newer cosplay I'm trying out on like a bigger day. Um, Also, it depends on if I want to enter a contest or not. So if
Mm.
I'm entering a contest, I know not to do one, depending on the contest, not to do one that I ended up buying most pieces for. So, like
Okay.
with Killmonger, because I bought most of that outfit, I usually don't enter that one into a cosplay contest where they are more focused on making everything.
Okay. Have you ever entered into a contest and won?
Yes, I have. I won one at RavenCon. I won Best in Show at RavenCon with my Pinhead cosplay.
Yeah.
Um, that one, because pretty much I made everything. Well,
Hmm.
me and my seamstress made everything, but I didn't buy it. So it was more
Right.
like I told her how it's supposed to look. She
Hmm.
made it, and then I did all the makeup. I made
Hmm.
the cube and everything from a Rubik's cube, so it
Hmm.
was able to actually move, and I could move it around and manipulate the box. And I spent the 4 hours to put 6 layers of liquid latex on my face, so I could put about 50 some pins,
Mm.
stick about 50 some pins on my face, uh, and it worked out.
Sounds like the creation process is probably just as labor intensive as the takedown process. Because how do you get 6 layers of latex and 50 pins off your face?
Very carefully.
I can imagine.
Very quickly. But once you peel it on one side, it kind of peels off like a
Okay,
mask.
like a
But you
mask.
gotta,
Okay.
you gotta get it right underneath there, and then
Mm-hmm.
put. If not, you'll just be doing little pieces each time.
Oh,
But
goodness.
my favorite cons are pretty much GalaxyCon and
Mm-hmm.
the one I just went to in October, Nightmare Weekend, which is a horror convention. I really enjoyed that one. It's the first year that they did it, and that's where I met Tony Todd, and he told me to hold my hook up high, and when I was
Mm-hmm.
as Candyman. That
Okay.
one, I knew I wanted to go as Candyman and take a picture of him as Candyman. So that one
Mm-hmm.
was one of those ones where I planned as like, this day I'm going as Candyman and I'm getting a picture of Tony Todd.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, this is a two-part question.
Hmm.
What characters do you think that you have portrayed the best? And
Okay.
what are some of your dream cosplays to do in the future?
So let's go with my dream cosplay. My dream cosplay goes with my dream con. So I want to go to San Diego Comic Con. I've been
Okay.
trying to get into San Diego Comic Con for years. It's like a lottery system. I always
Oh.
get just so close before I can get a ticket and a sellout.
Mm.
So I yet to get in there. But I promised myself that if I ever do, I will be Lord Chamberlain from the Dark Crystal.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm going to be a Skeksis. That's
You're
going to
gonna
be a
be
very
not the
big,
Skeksis. Yes.
big labor intensive build.
Oh, yeah,
And
because
I'm
they've got
not
those
willing.
big,
Yep.
big They're just
I would
big.
actually have to build like a suit in order to put all the
Yeah.
stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to do all that work if I'm not going to a big con
To the
like
big
that.
one, sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's like a dream cosplay for me to do. But in 2025, I plan on doing Nightcrawler from X-Men. That one's going to be a little bit different because I'll actually have to paint myself entirely blue. Well, most of my extremities blue. Do like fur work and stuff. And then I also want to do Darth Maul.
Okay.
So that
where you'd have to paint yourself red.
Where I'd have to paint myself red,
Right.
and
Okay.
do a lot of
So a lot of
like
painting of your body in 2025 is what I'm hearing.
Yes, a lot of painting of my body in 2025.
I hear you.
But the ones that I think I've portrayed the best are probably Killmonger, of course.
Yeah, that's a favorite.
Queen Ramonda. Candyman. I feel like I did really well with Candyman, and Dante from Devil May Cry. I don't always include Pinhead, even though everybody really just does love that one, because there's actually pieces and parts to his actual outfit that I don't have 100%. And I don't go all the way with my pins all the way to the back of my head like I probably should. So it's not 100% accurate, but I know from the face on, and it's very easy to tell who I am.
Sure.
So yeah, but I don't consider that one of the ones that I portray the best, because there's still pieces and parts to that suit that haven't quite finished.
But only you would know that, because when I see that, I think that's probably one of the most interesting and creative ones that I've seen you do. It's just amazing. And I'll definitely make sure I post a picture in this podcast so other folks can see what I'm talking about in terms of your skill level.
Go.
So is there a way that people can reach out to you if they have interest in learning more about cosplay culture, or even possibly going to a con, or even participating in a con?
Sure. You can email me at skylerzane@yahoo.com. And, just kind of make sure you put in there cosplay. So I know exactly what it is.
So you'll know who that is and won't put it in your spam folder. Perfect.
Pretty much.
So we'll definitely make sure that folks have that information if they'd like to talk with you more kind of offline about your experiences. One last question, because this is the Learning Curve podcast, and the point of this is to talk to people about experiences that they've had in their life where they feel like there's been a learning curve, that they have done something or had an experience where they have learned kind of a life lesson from it as they go through the curve. So if you were to think about your experiences doing cosplay and crossplay and being involved in the Blerd community, what do you feel like the life lesson that you have learned in the curve is?
Do what you want, and don't let other people's opinions stop you from doing what you want. If I had listened to people and say that Black people can't do this and they can't do this and they can't be interested in this, I wouldn't like the movies that I like. I wouldn't go to the things I wouldn't have discovered that I can do these things with makeup and design these different cosplays, and I wouldn't go to these cons. I wouldn't meet LeVar Burton or Carrie Elways or Billy Zane at the con. So it's there's a lot of experiences that I wouldn't have if I let other people's opinions on what I should be doing dictate what I do. So if there's something that I want to do or something that interests me, I'm going to do it. And, I'm going to, not let someone else's opinion affect that. I mean, unless they're paying a bill here or paying for me to go.
And I hear that.
They don't really have
any say
on what I do.
Right. And what you do.
So exactly. I just saying,
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, Damacia, I appreciate so much you being my first guest on the rebranded podcast, but more importantly, talking to us about your really unique hobby that you have and kind of how you got into it and how you are making it work for you and the lessons that you've learned from it. So folks, I hope you like hearing the sound of Damacia's voice, because she's going to be back on the podcast a few more times, because not only is this a hobby for her, but she's got a whole lot of interesting things that she's into. She's also into fitness and bodybuilding and running marathons. So we'll talk with her about how she got into that. And she is a published author. She has multiple books that are out and available for purchase. So we will talk with her about how she kind of got into authorship. She's done a lot of things, had a lot of learning curves and lessons that she's going to be sharing with us because she's a pretty interesting kid. If I say so myself, if y'all don't know, this is my baby sister. So happy to be hyping her up and all the things that she does. So again, thank you to Masha for being present and being willing to participate in this second episode of the Learning Curve podcast. And for all you listeners out there, if you are interested in following what we do and learning about other episodes, please hit us up on Instagram at the Learning Curve PCast. Or if you want to reach out to me because you have an experience of life in the learning curve that you'd like to share the lessons that you've learned, you can hit me up at the Learning Curve pcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and embrace the curves.